WMFD.com. It is Coffee Talk with Jay Fox, brought to you in part by the Cove Coffee Shop and Pizza Shop in Ontario, now offering dine-in, carry-out, and curbside service, coffee, bagels, pizza, all the good things from the Cove Coffee Shop. I'm Jay Fox. Today on the program, it's Brad Murtiff. He's the president of First Federal Community Bank. Brad, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So behind you, it looks like it says Bank of Choice, and there's a lot of words behind you. What do all of these words mean?
Well, it's a word wall that kind of encompasses all of the things that we strive for. Talking about teamwork, communication, commitment, dedication. Having fun, we pulled out words from our mission and values statements and kind of put them together in some form of artwork. And so those are the things that we aspire to and strive for every day.
So how long has First Federal Community Bank been in business?
1888.
Wow, that is a very long time.
It is a very long
same name, or was it originally called something else?
It was initially called First Federal Savings and Loan. First Federal Savings and Loan. Actually, it was something long before that, but First Federal Savings and Loan was the most recent iteration, and then we changed First Federal Community Bank of Bucyrus when we changed our shareholder structure. So it's always been First Federal. It's just what comes after that is a little bit different.
What does the phrase community bank mean to you? Because you could just be a bank, you could be a financial institution, a savings and loan, a credit union.
Absolutely.
What is a community bank?
Well, in terms of definition as it relates to the regulatory agencies, it's any bank below $10 billion.
Okay.
That's B with a billion, with a billion with a B. To us, it means exactly what we aspire to. These words behind me, it's having local people making local decisions for local businesses. We're in our communities, we're in our schools, we're in our churches. We shop here, we eat here, we drink here. We know the people that are in our communities. So by true definition, $10 billion, that encompasses a lot of banks that don't do what we do. So I think that's our attribute that separates us, how we are actively involved in our communities and organizations and schools and coaching and everything that involves our kids and our families and our customers. We're supporting those that support us.
Now, Bucyrus is the home base, but you also have a location in Mansfield, Ohio, and that's a loan office, correct?
Correct. Yeah, okay. It's Travis Smith is the head of that loan production office. And that's all it is at this time is strictly a loan production office.
Okay. And is that a commercial, or is it a residential, or is it all of the above for loans?
It can be all of the above. We have Travis is primarily a commercial lender, but he utilizes the resources here with our local lenders that deal primarily in residential. So it's a good feeder system for both types of lending. So we can provide both types of services.
Now, is that your first physical foray into Richland County?
It is.
Okay. So what precipitated the move east?
Well, it was preceded by a move to Crestline, which essentially is a bit of Richland County as well. So I spoke a little too quickly there, but primarily Richland County as a whole, that was the first one. But when we moved to Crestline, Crestline was a natural fit for us, just based on the communities. We know those people as well, and they know us. The move into Mansfield and Richland County really came out of a lot of conversation that we've had customers that are from Crestline that operate in Mansfield. We also have lending and depository relationships with some other customers in Mansfield that they've asked us to move over that way. And there's a lot of good things going on in Richland County, much like Crawford County, that don't get the publicity. So we want to be in on the ground floor, if you will.
So when you say don't get the publicity, can you give me a hint about something you might be referring to?
No.
Okay. Just know that there's some projects in the works.
There's and it wasn't in reference to anything specific. It was more just there's a good feel to it. Revitalization may be the wrong terminology for it, but there's a movement afoot with Richland, Crawford counties that we want to move forward, and people have to jump on board, and we're on it. So that nothing specific.
It is an exciting time to be in Mansfield for sure.
Absolutely.
Mansfield has had many iterations in its history, and downtown has come roaring back in the last 5 years. And the Imagination District is the next big project that is headed to Mansfield in the Park Avenue area. And then, as you know, from being a lender, housing, you put your house on the market and it's gone the same day. It's a very fast market right now.
No question. Yeah, it's a good area. It's this region of Ohio and this region of the country is a great place to live, work, raise family. And it's got a bad rap, but we'll fight it. That's all right.
It's part of what I call being associated with the Rust Belt communities. You look at all of the former steel towns like Cleveland, Youngstown, Pittsburgh, Erie, Buffalo, Syracuse, even Toledo, and they have all had to go through some kind of transformation when their primary industry either changed or left the community. And Mansfield has had to go through a transformation or two.
Sure.
But seems to have found its footing again, and it's a good time to be here. What are your long-term plans for Mansfield? Are you going to open a branch? What are you going to do?
That's yet to be determined, but that's typically the way we've moved. Historically, we using our Marysville location as the backdrop, we had a loan production office there. We opened up a retail office. So it's a little bit of a trend. I would love to have one. In fact, we looked about a year ago in a couple different places, and nothing seemed to work out at that time. But I think ultimately we will get there.
Well, it may very well be a buyer's market on the commercial side, even though it's a seller's market on the residential side right now.
No question.
Let's talk about 3 initials and what they mean. So we have a letter, this is like an episode of Sesame Street. Today is brought to you by the letter P, but we're going to say it 3 times, PPP. What does PPP mean?
Well, it depends on who you ask, but it means Paycheck Protection Program.
Okay.
And it's came out of the CARES Act and the whole pandemic emergency safety net type of a thing for local businesses, and it's essentially a way to support the businesses during this time, and we jumped in early, reinvented ourselves. Talking about needing to reinvent yourselves. During the pandemic, we reinvented ourselves almost overnight with this program. figuring out how to do it, who was going to do it, the procedures and steps involved to make sure we did it right. But we needed to be, we talk about community. Our communities, plural, were hurting, and we needed to make sure we were there. A lot of the, go ahead.
Did you have to be, did you have to have a special designation as a bank to become part of the PPP program?
You had to, primarily you had to have access to the SBA website, which was a whole process in and of itself. We typically don't make SBA loans. So it was it's quite a learning curve for a handful of us here at the bank. It all funneled into 3 or 4 or 5 people here, me included, and we in a short period of time we ramped it up and got the money to where it needed to go to the businesses in a very quick manner. Just to us, we did about we've done about $13 million worth of PPP loans, roughly 300, which, when you talk to much larger banks, those are very small numbers. But when you're talking about a bank our size and customers our size, that's a lot of loans in a short period of time, getting it into the hands of the people that needed it very quickly. Felt like we were very responsive, and much more responsive than even the very largest banks.
So does the business, and we'll talk about eligibility, but did the business have to have a prior working relationship with First Federal Community Bank in order to participate in the program, or were you able to develop a relationship and then enroll them in the program?
They did not have to. That sort of came out of the whole thing. Was initially we were just expecting our customers to deal with us.
Right.
We had no real idea the reach that our service would attain, but our customers, our community members were referring non-customers to us because their banks weren't doing it or weren't involved in it or not involved yet. So we were able to establish the relationship and help them through the process without having a depository or lending relationship with them, and we helped quite a few. And from that, we've gained quite a bit of trust and relationships as well.
So I'm a small local business owner and I want to enroll in this program. What do I need to do to be eligible, and what do I have to prove or show? How does this work?
Well, there's without getting too much into the weeds, because
Right.
There's a lot of twists and turns in this whole thing, but primarily the payroll function of your business. The first iteration of it was primarily your payroll, whatever that number is over a 12-week period. And I might have this thing is spun around so many times, so hope nobody quotes me specifically on the numbers. But if it's excuse me, I said 12 weeks. If it's a 4-week period, whatever that payroll is for a month, roughly, you take 2.5 times that. So it's about 10 weeks of payroll. Mm-hmm. Of that 2.5 times, you have to use at least 60% of that for payroll.
Right.
The rest of it can be used for eligible expenses, rent and utilities, that type of thing. So that's phase 1. That was like step 1 or round 1. The most recent version of it has brought in farmers and sole proprietors who didn't qualify the first time around because they didn't have payroll. But then there's also another twist, which is if you got round 1, you then had to prove, in order to be eligible for round 2, you had to prove a reduction in revenue by greater than 25% over a quarter quarter over quarter basis, year to year. So second quarter of 2019 versus second quarter of 2020, 25% reduction. But then also in farmers, you're able to use gross revenue, where in the first round you had to use net.
Okay.
Just recently, today, they've added into that those business owners that report on Schedule C. So using gross revenue. So there's a lot of twists and turns, and it's hard to explain in a brief conversation. But
yeah, it's one of those see dealer for details kind of
Pretty
conversations.
much.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Does the money have to be paid back, or is this free money?
Well, it's the goal is for it to be free to you. There is a forgiveness process, and that's changed a little bit over time as well. But primarily, we get the application from you, we get all the supporting documentation, and we submit it to the SBA. They approve it, we fund it, close the loan and fund it, and then once the money gets used, you can then apply for forgiveness.
I see. And does everybody get granted forgiveness, or is it just a portion of people, or how does that work?
Well, to date, everybody has been granted forgiveness.
That's amazing.
It's
a fabulous commitment to the infrastructure of small businesses.
No question.
In our community, and it suggests that our priority is to keep things alive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the government had to do the same thing as everybody else and come up with a plan to basically save our economy. And you may agree, disagree with the politics of it, whatever, but the underlying premise was always to save Main Street, and that's I think everybody can feel that it's on much better footing than it was a year ago.
Absolutely, things are definitely moving in the right direction.
Yes.
We talked a little bit about how tight the real estate market is for residential loans right now. Not residential loans, but just property availability. You've got something coming up called the Welcome Home Grant, where veterans and active military can receive some money, and regular individuals can receive some money. Tell me a little bit about what the Welcome Home Grant is and how somebody qualifies for that.
Absolutely. I'll tell you very little because I'm getting a little bit outside of my lane here, but
I have a flyer if you need help.
Okay. I should be asking you then.
I'll be happy to tell you all about it.
That's right. Essentially, it's for first-time homebuyers. Okay. As you referenced as well, veterans and military personnel, where you can qualify for a grant up to $5,000. I believe the military is $7,500. It is for use for down payment, and there's income qualifications for it. So, but it's free money if you qualify for the loan, and then ultimately qualify based on income calculations. So there is a ceiling for that. Then you get $5,000 from the Federal Home Loan Bank system. So
it's a fabulous product, and it is a great time to buy right now. And why wouldn't you go after something like this? Typically banks are doing 85% loan to value, maybe a little bit less depending upon qualification. 80, the 80-20 rule. That $5,000 or $7,500 that comes down the pike could go a long way towards making a new home for a family reality rather than fantasy.
No question. We've participated in this program, let's say 10 years, And each bank that participates gets $250,000. So, however many, what is that, five? I won't embarrass myself by doing the math right in front of you, but
that'd be 50, but okay.
Okay, there you go. All right.
The banker is going
I know,
back
right?
to school for math.
Math is my strong suit, but that's neither here nor there.
That's neither nor there.
We've worked with this program for 10 years or so, and now is as good a time or better time than any, given the low interest rates. The downside is the availability of homes.
Yeah.
And when as you referred to it earlier, you better be qualified when you're going out to look for a house, or that house is going to be gone. By the time you figure out you want it, it's going to be gone.
We have enjoyed our conversation with Brad Murtiff, who is the president of First Federal Community Bank, based in Bucyrus, but with a loan office in Mansfield. And if you would like more information, the website is also some initials. So write this down. It is F as in Frank, F as in Frank, C as in Carl, B as in boy, ffcb.com. ffcb.com. It is First Federal Community Bank. Brad, we thank you so much for being on Coffee Talk today, sponsored in part by the Cove Coffee Shop and Pizza Shop in Old Town downtown Ontario. And this program is available as a service of WMFD TV News, and also available at all times on WMFD.com. We thank you so much for watching.